You do know that on Kakaki, the African Voice, we also do Kakaki Cancer Awareness. And we're not the host of this program. We'll be leading you to the host who will be talking about issues around cancer this morning.
Right. So from far away, where she is, not in Nigeria, certainly, we'll have our usual host, Dr. Denise Ejo of Commod Cancer Foundation. So she would have a guest, and they will look at the hidden triggers of cancer in Nigeria. And yeah, the CEO of Commod Cancer Foundation right there. Hello, doctor. Good morning from Nigeria.
That from Nigeria is interesting. Good morning, ladies. You guys are looking really good, though. I need to come and collect some nice fashion from you.
Beautiful you, as always. You are taking a cue from you, really.
in this cold, like she's winter. No more fashion.
Oh dear, I understand. Okay, so we yield the
Right.
floor to you now with your guests.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to another inspiring edition of Kakaki Cancer Awareness with Dr. Denise Ejo, the CEO of Commod Cancer Foundation. In partnership with AIT, we bring to you this program titled Our Genetics, Our Health, the Hidden Triggers of Cancer in Nigeria. So today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation. Very interesting. You'll see why I'm saying that. So let's go. Let's hit it on. Together we fight, together we win. Across Nigeria today, conversations around cancer are becoming more urgent and more personal. As more families experience its impact, one question keeps coming up. Why are cancer cases increasing, and what really triggers them? So in this edition of Kakaki Cancer Awareness, we'll be unpacking one of our least understood but most powerful factors, our genetics, and how it impacts our health. You see, cancer is not caused by one thing alone. It is the result of a complex relationship between our genes, which we inherit from our parents, our environment, which includes everything we eat, breathe, and drink, and our lifestyle, and overall our health, how we live, move, and rest, and take care of our bodies. So, from the quality of the air around us, to the food on our plates, to the stress we carry, and the habits we maintain, every aspect of daily living plays a role in shaping our health and ultimately our risks of developing cancer. So, while we're all talking about cancer this morning, some Nigerians inherit a higher risk of certain cancers, such as breast, prostate, ovarian, and colorectal. This month we'll be focusing on breast, and we have focused on breast, but others are due to diseases, due to long-term exposures to lots of other triggers. So in this segment, let us learn about our genetics. Learn about that genetics is not destiny. Genetics is not destiny. I'm not the one that said it to. Somebody's going to explain it to us today. So, with awareness, early testing, and healthy habits, Nigeria can take charge of their health, protect their families, and build communities that understand cancer. So, today, to unpack this vital topic is a brilliant young researcher making waves internationally. So, my guest today is no other but Brian Han.
Hi, nice to be here with you.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
Brian is a Sambai project researcher at the King's College Hospital, where he works in the breast immunology. Don't worry about me, I don't know how to do this. Group led by Professor Shiba Ishad. As part of the Team Sambai and International Cancer Grant Challenges collaboration across the UK, US, and Africa, Brian and his team investigate why breast, prostate, and pancreatic cancers are more aggressive in patients of African descent. So, Brian, you are very welcome to Kakaki Cancer Awareness, hosted by Dr. Denise Ejo.
Thank you.
I haven't met you yet, and I was in clinic yesterday. I forgot. How are you? You're looking good.
Yeah, looking okay.
Thank you for coming and thank you for joining me. I said this conversation is interesting for me. So let's begin with a very big question. Why does genetic research in Africa matter for global medicine?
Yeah, so when we first talk about genetics, we talk about our DNA. So the DNA is actually very important. It's the genetic code that we inherit, and it really shapes so much about who we are and how we look, and how the body responds to diseases and different types of treatment, for example. But in most of the modern genetic studies that we have here in the world, these studies are mainly focusing on Europe and North America. So when we put this into in perspective, Africa actually represents only just less than 2% of the global genetic data being analyzed. So that means that people of African descent or Caribbean descent are very underrepresented from the data that we have. And of course, the implications of this is that we cannot fully understand diseases like cancers, and critically, that treatments that may have already been developed may not be effective for people of African and Caribbean descent. But it's not just genetics that's in play. Our environment, like you said, our environment, our lifestyle can all influence how our genes behave. And these factors work together to shape how diseases develop and how people respond to treatment. So when we're talking about, let's use breast cancer as an example, we see that women of African and Caribbean ancestry are often diagnosed much younger and with a more aggressive type of breast cancer. It doesn't matter where they live, whether it's they live in Africa or they live in other cities around the world like London or Atlanta. And unfortunately, we still don't fully understand why this happens and to what extent genetics, social demographics, exposure, or even the immune system plays a role. This is actually why it's so critical to focus on the African population and to really understand how factors such as genetics contribute to these diseases in countries like Nigeria, to help us look at the full picture in a population that has been historically underrepresented in medical research.
I like that. The reason I've actually brought this conversation to the forefront is because I am very concerned. Now that I come in and out of the cancer center, I have spent a lot of time working around that cancer space now, and connecting with all you researchers, and finding that my DNA is in your system, used for research and all that. Okay. Now, it's interesting because we're not exposed, or we're not. This conversation is not something that is very commonly had among the African population. And if we understand as Africans, and that's what I believe, if we understood that our data is not influencing the production of medicines, I think maybe we would be more open to getting these medicines out. That's my opinion. But I don't know, because Africa, like you say, 2%, oh my goodness. That means 2% of the African population actually influence the production of drugs that cure cancer.
Yeah, I mean...
Reproduction. I'm not saying as a quotation, no. I'm just saying as in genetic
diversity-wise, yeah.
My goodness. Okay, so let's go. So in which case, let's now look at the fact that, therefore, do different environmental, emotion, all the factors, health, do they play a role in cancer?
Yes.
Different environmental exposures, do they play a role in this cancer thing? Because we now have to look at it differently now.
Yeah, of course. So actually, we do have an increasing amount of evidence that points towards the fact that the environment that we live and the lifestyle factors can be linked to like different risk factors for certain types of cancers, and sometimes they're also linked to worsening outcomes for cancers. So for example, we know that air pollution, chemical or industrial exposures can affect how our cells grow and repair themselves. Now, this is important, and also because that lifestyle factors, for example, like limited exercise, being overweight, smoking, excessive alcohol use, and even stress have also been linked to cancer risk factors. But with all these different risk factors, it's also very important to remember that the same exposure doesn't affect everyone the same way. So that's very important. It's not that, or if someone is very stressed or something like that. It's more about everyone is different. So this really comes back to how genetics interact with the environment that you're in. And so some people may be sensitive to certain risks than others. And some environmental factors influence how our genes behave, and also some may help to protect us, or maybe sometimes it may increase the risk of cancer. So this really shows why it's very important to study both genes and environment together. And so by understanding how these exposures work, we can also help to develop better strategies for cancer detection and also the treatment options.
Oh, okay. So now we're getting warmer. Now we're getting warmer. So I'm enjoying this now. Okay. So we've accepted that the genes are important. We're now recognizing that our environment can play a role.
Yeah.
But there are very many variables that come together to make it important for us to understand whatever we're doing. And I'll be very straight with you. I mean, in Nigeria, there's quite a lot of research that goes on cancer. And I think there's also quite, not that I think, I know, there's quite a lot of discussions and research going on this genetics. So this genetics thing is now becoming a big thing. It is how we're going to use it going forward. And for me, I know it has helped me, which is why I know that my treatments are always aligned. Like currently, there are very limited drugs available for me, but that's fine. So with this important link, and at the center of this whole thing, you made a statement, immune system.
Yeah.
I like that word, immune system. I understood immune system in my cancer journey. For a very educated person, I didn't. It was a word that never came into my radar. But for all of us now, I think we're becoming more aware. Mm-hmm. Or at least I hope we start to become more aware about our immune systems. So how is the immune system related to genetic research and environmental exposures? And when I say that, please, can you first explain what immune system is? Just one sentence, the briefest way you can, and then go on to the next part.
Oh yeah, of course. So think of it as the immune system is our body's natural defense system. Mm-hmm. So our immune system continuously scans for and also destroy offending cells. So for example, like bacteria, viruses, and of course, indeed includes cancer cells. So this is why it's so important that we want to look into the immune system together as well, because when the immune system is weakened or compromised, it's not able to detect these cancer cells. And these cancer cells, they also have a lot of different kinds of mechanisms to evade the immune system. So if left unchecked, these cancer cells can reproduce very, very rapidly, leading to a very aggressive tumor growth as well. And so the immune system is very closely connected with what we have been discussing, like the genes and our environment, and that the differences between people can also influence how well their body reacts to different diseases and treatments. So, for example, sometimes certain environmental factors can weaken the immune system, for example. So, in that sense, the immune system plays a very important role in fighting against cancers, and if we piece them together, the immune system, genetics, and environmental factors together, then we can really help us to understand why different groups of people are more vulnerable for certain types of cancers, for example. So if I put it into like just imagine like we have two people, someone that's Nigerian, lives in Nigeria, and someone that is Malaysian, like for myself, like I'm Malaysian, and imagine that living in Malaysia. Now, these two people will have very different environmental exposures because they are in different countries. They will have very different genetic makeup, one being that the one in Nigeria would be mainly of African ancestry. The one of Malaysian would probably be a lot more of an Asian ancestry. And on top of that, we know that these differences globally in how genetics itself also influences the shape of how the immune response is. So by looking at all these factors together as a whole, we as researchers can then really start to piece together a bigger picture of specific types of cancer risks in different types of people. And that this knowledge is very powerful as it can help us to guide future prevention strategies and also personalized treatment of approaches based on each person's unique biological makeup.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you my last main question, my last big question, because now I think we get it. What exactly is Sambai, and how will it benefit Nigerians and the African continent as a whole?
Yeah. So the Sambai project is funded by Cancer Research UK through Cancer Grant Challenges. And the Cancer Grant Challenges is a global funding initiative co-founded by the Cancer Research UK and the National Cancer Institute in the United States, seeking to tackle some of the toughest challenges in cancer research. So Sambai in itself is an international collaboration project across the US, the UK, and Africa, spanning across 15 different institutions. And Sambai is being led by Professor Melissa Davis from Morehouse School of Medicine in the US. Now, the main aim of Sambai is to understand the factors that cause and influence disparate cancer outcomes in underserved populations of African descent. Specifically, we are looking at breast cancer, prostate cancer, and pancreatic cancers. Now, why these three cancer types? These three cancer types has been shown that it's disproportionately higher, have higher rates of aggressive tumor grade and also earlier onset in African people. So Sambai is a program where we bring leaders across different fields together to help tackle this problem. And we do this by arranging the program into different work packages. So we have the team in the US leading on questionnaires looking at social determinants of health. These are everyday social and environmental factors ranging from like lifestyle factors to socio-cultural experiences. At the same time, we are using very advanced research technology to study the internal and external factors that an individual is exposed to. So, for example, the air they breathe or the food they eat. In terms of genetics, Sambai also aims to map out the genetic diversity in different populations in the UK, US, and several different regions of Africa, including Nigeria. This is also to help us to identify genetic factors contributing to these cancer inequities. And so, building on top another layer, Sambai also studies the immune system. So here we will investigate the immune cells and protein that is present in the blood and also tumors of patients of African ancestry. This is very important because our immune system fights bacteria and viruses we come across every day and removes them from the system. So this process is called an immune attack. In cancers, immune attacks fail, so cancer can grow and spread very quickly. So by understanding what a normal immune profile looks like compared to a changed immune profile in a cancer setting, specifically in African patient population, it can really help us to develop new therapies and also personalized treatments. So ultimately, Sambai aims to create a complete diverse data set of 40,000 people with social determinants of health, exposure information, genetics, and immune profiles, which will allow us to understand and decode the very complex link between these factors in influencing cancer outcomes. And of course, within Sambai, we also have a patient advocacy group that Denise is also very much part of. Our patient advocacy working group is led by Ricky Fairley, a triple-negative breast cancer survivor, and also co-founder of the Black Breast Cancer Alliance. Since Sambai was founded, we have been able to go into different communities and spread awareness about this Sambai project. The patient advocacy group is a very important pillar of Sambai, as patient advocates help to guide the researchers and clinicians in the most effective way of running the entire research, so that the results that we generate can really go on to changing policies in the future. So in this sense, Sambai is really designed by patients for patients.
Thank you. I think we're going to go and get the other top people you've just mentioned to come and have more conversations on this project, because
Yeah.
the more we understand it, I think the better for all of us. And I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you. Really, really thank you, Brian. Thank you. I took you out. I'm sure I took you out earlier than you normally would.
No,
To our
don't worry.
viewers, Brian said it very well. Research with Africa, not just on Africa. Awesome. So research with Nigerians, not just on Nigerians. Let's finish with that. I want to say a very big thank you. I hope I can bring this back to the drawing board. I want to thank you, Brian, for such a rich and insightful conversation. Honestly, I hear things and I learn more every time. What what we've all heard today is more than medicine, medical science. It's a message of awareness, responsibility, and hope. I hope. So we've learned that cancer does not start in isolation. It grows quietly at the intersection of our genetics, our environment, and our lifestyles. How we eat, sleep, rest, and take care of ourselves is very important in making a difference. We also saw that our genetics are the blueprint, but our lifestyle and environment are the builders. So, the food we choose, the air we breathe, the stress we carry, and even how often we check our health, all these determine whether those genetic factors remain silent or are triggered into a disease. On reflection, everyone, I think we have some home truths here, and I think we're going to take it from there and end. So our health is our wealth. We agree with that. Early detection saves life. We agree with that. Prevention is power. We agree with that. And finally, environment matters. So to all of you out there, I think I'm finishing with this. Let's all take care of ourselves. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this project is one of the big principles is breast cancer. So please, to my viewers out there, I look forward to seeing you again next month. But please get involved with the breast cancer awareness campaign around Nigeria. Please, it is not a joke. I live with metastatic breast cancer. And to you, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank
Everyone
you.
else, see you again.
Yes, indeed. Quite educative as always, really talking about cancer issues. This topic is quite interesting, really. What are the triggers of cancer in Nigeria? Thank you so much for all you do, Dr. Ejo, and do have a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor, and to your dear guests, and for the topic that you brought us today. All right, everyone, at this point, we'd like to take entertainment.
Hello and welcome.
Our message is very clear. Together we'll fight. Together we win.